Hi everyone, I'm Wendy. Welcome back to Show Me Mo Vegan. And today I'm showing you how to make a couple of homemade plant-based milks. Now, I don't use plant-based milks all that often, but when I do, I like to get the ones with the most basic ingredients, just water and whatever the milk is made out of. And those tend to be the more expensive plant-based milks, so I thought I'd try to make them myself at home. So today we're going to make some almond milk and oat milk. Almond milk requires a little bit of thinking ahead of time because you'll need to soak the almonds overnight. So I started by adding 1 cup of almonds to a bowl and then filling it up with water. You want to make sure that the almonds are fully submerged and then have a little bit of extra water over top because they will absorb some water and expand just a little bit. I left them in the fridge overnight and now I'm rinsing them off and they're ready to go. So I'll take my soaked almonds and add them to my blender. I'm using a Vitamix, but you could use any high-powered blender. I think any standard blender would work as well. You may just need to blend for a little bit longer. So for my 1 cup of soaked almonds, I'm adding 3 cups of water. And in different recipes that I saw online, they used anywhere from 3 to 5 or even 6 cups of water. Of course, the less water you use, the creamier your milk will turn out to be. I'm going to be using this milk in my smoothies, so I'll just add a little bit and I'll add more water. So I'm doing the creamier version with less water to blend, just so it takes up less room in my fridge. So we'll put this on our blender. So I blended this for about 45 seconds in my high-powered blender. In a regular blender, like I said, you may need to blend for a little bit longer. So now we just need to strain this. And we're straining it to take out some of the fibrous parts. If you don't mind that, you don't have to strain it at all. So that's what it'll look like. And then we'll take our nut milk bag over a bowl and simply pour it through and let it drain. So once you've gotten as much liquid out as you can, you are done. And then what you're left with in your nut milk bag is all of that pulp from the almonds. You can find recipes online with what to do with the leftovers. So here is our beautiful almond milk. I only made a little bit of a mess. I've set aside the almond milk and we'll do a taste test after we finish with the oat milk. Now, I haven't made the oat milk before, so this will be my first time trying it. But from what I've read, oat milk can be a little gummy or maybe even gritty. So there are a couple of things that you can do to try and prevent that. The first one is you want to use really cold water. So instead of taking this straight out of the tap, I refrigerated this water. And once again, I have 3 cups of water that I'm adding to my blender. And the great thing about the oat milk is there's no thinking ahead of time. We're just using regular rolled oats. Of course, if you're gluten-free, make sure you get certified gluten-free oats. And I'm using a 1/2 cup of oats with my 3 cups of water. Keep in mind, you could always double this or change the amount. Just keep the same ratio. So once again, we'll put the lid on and blend. And the next tip is that you don't want to blend for very long. With oat milk, you want to do no more than 30 seconds. Again, otherwise it'll become a little gummy. So that's our 30 seconds. And that's what this one will look like. Probably can't see it very well on the camera there. This one is pretty frothy, but I can already tell that it's actually not quite as creamy as the almond milk. But again, you can always adjust these with how much water you add. Then once again, I have a large bowl here. And for this one, I'm also adding a little strainer on top as well as my nut milk bag, because the third tip for avoiding the gummy milk is not to squeeze your nut milk bag. As you saw with the almond milk, I was squeezing to get as much liquid out as possible, but with the oats, the squeezing lets some of that sticky gumminess come through. So that's why I'm adding the strainer on top, so I can just set it and let it strain on its own. And I have a really fine nut milk bag, so it takes a while for this to strain. So I'm gonna let this sit and we'll come back in a little bit. After that, my oat milk was all ready. So I ended up with about the same volume of each milk. Remember that for the almond milk, I used 1 cup of almonds and 3 cups of water. And for the oat milk, I used half a cup of oats and 3 cups of water. I ended up with just under 3 cups of each type of milk. I'm not sure how well you can see on the screen, but the almond milk is definitely creamier than the oat milk. The almond milk has a brighter white color and the oat milk is a little more off-white. Of course, you can also make milks out of other nuts and seeds like cashews, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds. I'm planning to try some of these, and if I do, I'll let you know how it goes. So now I have the taste test. So I have my oat milk over here and my almond milk over here. Since I've already tried the almond milk before, I'm going to start with the oat milk. So we'll give it a little taste. I mean, it tastes like oats, and it's a little watery, and I do get a little bit of the grittiness, but it's not really noticeable. And like I said, I'm going to be using this in smoothies or maybe even cooking, so it doesn't really matter to me how exactly it tastes. But honestly, to me, this just tastes like oat water, which is basically what it is. All right, now I'll try the almond milk again. Yeah, I definitely think I like the almond milk better. It has a little bit more of a creamy texture, but it definitely tastes like almonds, so if you don't like the taste of almonds, you probably wouldn't like this. Again, I'll be using it in smoothies or cooking, so I don't really notice the flavor that much, but I have used it in my smoothies the past couple of days, and it definitely makes the overall flavor of the smoothie better because it just gives it that creamy texture, and it kind of makes the greens that I put in there a little less bitter. And I personally never really just drink milk by itself. Even when I was still consuming dairy, I never really drank glasses of milk. So I'm not gonna be doing that with these. So I think these would work great however you like to use your plant-based milks. And keep in mind that you can add different flavorings. So if you wanted a sweet milk, you could add some dates and vanilla. And of course, if you wanted to make chocolate milk, you could add some cocoa powder or carob powder to give it that chocolatey flavor. From the recommendations I've seen online, these milks will last in your fridge anywhere from 2 to 5 days, but really ultimately it's up to the sniff test. So you want to smell your milk and make sure that it doesn't smell any different from the day you first made it. If it smells funky at all, it's time to toss it. I think that's all I've got for this video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought. And as always, like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.